Galen, with the announcement of Pokemon Smile, it's really got me thinking. Got me introspective, a little reflective of myself.
Okay, what Oni, what have you been reflecting on?
Well, I mean, I've been reflecting on how many times I brush my teeth a day, and I wanted to know, what is your situation with brushing your teeth? How do you dress up for it? What's the occasion?
Well, of course, I usually go full suit and tie more than anything. White suit, gotta hide the stains. But, yeah. I like to make a special occasion of it.
Because it's once a year, or what's that?
No, I brush pretty frequently. I brush before this podcast. I apologize if you can hear the Listerine that still might have been swishing around my mouth.
It's a disgusting image.
You brought it up!
I'm talking about being clean!
And you can't be more clean than Listerine. Not sponsored.
Galen, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
You know what? I had a good run.
Did you? Hello, my lovely memories of melodies. That's a terrible title. Friends, thank you for joining us today on the Nintendo Everything Podcast. This is episode 85.
Mm-hmm. We're getting up there.
My name is Oni Dino. With me, I have a man who woke up one day to find that he had extendable arms. He wanted to compete in the arms tournament, but the shoulder and back pain is debilitating. It's Galen.
Here's a PSA to go see a chiropractor, because they can help you with a lot of that kind of stuff.
And brush your teeth.
How are you? You know what? That joke was a bit of a stretch.
Huh. You did it, Galen. You did a joke.
I was afraid I was kind of reaching for that one, but I think it worked out.
Listen. You're sapping my strength, and this is just the opening.
So, just like every other show.
Oh my god. Just like every other show, we're talking about video games that we played this week, the news, and some other nonsense. If we can stay on track.
Big if.
And just like every other show, episode, we're a weekly show. Episodes go live every Sunday. We're on all the podcast platforms. Check us out. Leave us a rating. Give us a share with other people. Help our show grow. Organic growth is literally impossible on the internet. So without you, dear listeners, we are nothing. We don't exist.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because you said give us a share, and now I'm just thinking of like the singer Cher, but I realize I know absolutely nothing to like relate to her.
Does he love me? I wanna know.
Thank you. I knew I kept you around for something.
Don't with the M. Night Shyamalan twist on this. Keeping me around. Galen, see? This is just the opening. Harshing my mellow.
A prelude to what is to come.
So this is our Adventure Log segment where we critique video games that we've been playing this week. Actually, that rhymes. And Galen, where do you tweet about video games that you've been playing throughout the week?
Well, if you want to follow my video game ramblings, you can follow me on Twitter at Mobius087. Oni, where can people follow you in your favorite obsessions?
My favorite obsessions, in addition to butts, is on my Twitter.
I that's what I was referring to. So.
Yes. At Oni_Dino. Now, Galen, we have been playing the same game this week.
I know. This is a rare one. I mean, you know how hard it is for me to play any games because I'm not a real gamer. So
yeah. And also, you have no hands, so
it's true. Where did that joke come from?
I don't know. It's just
you called me like a shark Pokemon or something like that, like 5 or 6 episodes ago.
I feel like that was 5 or 6 months ago, Galen.
Probably. I've lost all concept of time.
Time is infinite in this corona-embarrassed nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Basically.
This week we've been playing the same game. It's called Bloodroots.
Yes, it is.
It is an indie game on the Nintendo Switch. It's also on PS4 and probably Steam. I think it's on Epic Game Store.
Mm-hmm. It's on a couple of different platforms. You got it on Steam, you got it on Switch. I think it's also for other consoles like PS4 and Xbox.
Just said this.
Yeah, but people listen to me so much more than they do you.
Do they?
Leave a comment letting us know which one you listen to.
Anyway, you know who does listen to us is the lovely developers and publishers, Paper Cult, the developers of Bloodroots. They provided us with 2 codes, so we're talking about their game, and we're given full, of course, honest impressions.
Absolutely. And hey, Paper Cult, thanks for showing your game to us. I'm really getting a kick out of this. So.
And thank you for making an awesome game that is interesting. So before we get into this game, I want to say the reason that we're talking about it is because this game came out back in February, I think, and I never freaking heard of it. And this goes back to a lot of my criticisms that I have over the Nintendo eShop in general, where it's just like a floodgate every single week of garbage, and there's a couple of gems in it.
Yeah.
And when I saw some of this game, I was like, because I never heard of it, I looked it up, I was like, this looks good. Like, why is nobody talking about this? This is doing an interesting thing. So we're really happy to just talk about smaller creators' video games, not just, Xenoblade, which I love, not just what other big game have we been talking about recently? You talk about Destiny all the time.
Yeah, Destiny.
So we're happy to talk about the indie games and smaller creators, just like Galen was talking about One Step from Eden last week.
Mm-hmm. I've got some more opinions on that too, but we'll get back to we'll get to that in a minute. So.
Yes, we will. Don't try and control anything. So let's get to Bloodroots. What this is a I will just abbreviate it to Canadian Chaos Simulator.
Okay, that is an interesting one.
Wouldn't you say that's correct? How would you describe this game? If somebody listening has no idea because they never heard of it, what is this game?
You're actually not that far off. It is in the style of a run-and-gun, fast-paced, top-down isometric action game. So to compare this to other games that are out there, think Hotline Miami or Katana Zero, which I know is a different perspective to it, but it's a very similar play style of you are running around, you are killing lots of enemies, and you're trying to do this as quickly and fluidly as possible. The catch to this is that all the enemies go down in one hit, but so do you as well.
Yes.
So
it's very bloody, very kind of arcadey score chaser.
Absolutely.
And you grab things from your environment, basically improvise. Improvise, is that the right word? Whatever. And you kill bandits in hilarious and bombastic ways.
Yeah, the levels are ranking you based on a number of different things. How high your combo can actually be kept up while you're killing these enemies. The variety in which you kill them in. So there's a number of different weapons and things that you can actually pick up.
So much so often.
Yeah, and some of them you don't necessarily think are going to be normal weapons. Ladders, chains, vegetables.
Have you used the roast chicken yet?
I have, maybe. I can't remember. I know I've used cabbage and carrots before.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's the entry-level stuff. You got to graduate.
Oh, absolutely. And there's other factors that go into you playing the game and being proficient in it as well. Ranks you on time, ranks you on mobility, number of deaths that you can get in the game.
So many deaths. I'm real bad.
Me too. It's definitely a struggle in some places for me. The game gives you a ranking based on just a letter grading. Anything, the lowest I've seen is like a C rank, so I don't know if it goes any lower than that. The largest that you can get is an S rank.
And also to set this up, the motivation for playing, like who are you playing as? What's happening, right? you play as a dude named Mr. Wolf, and he's kind of like, he's a mix between like genuine lumberjack and like woodsman.
Yeah,
and Wolverine.
He's a woodsman berserker, and that is absolutely hilarious. I love that.
he has different hats. You can change up your hats, and some of them will give you different kinds of buffs as well. But he starts out with a wolf pelt over his head because he's a huntsman, right?
Yeah.
And the game starts out in the most Kill Bill revenge story ever this side of a video game screen. And I had a big stupid grin on my face when this game opened up. I just was loving every moment of it. The music, the visuals.
Yeah, it was really smooth the way that it opened up. I had been going into this game completely blind, so I had no idea on what to actually expect.
Same here.
I was very pleasantly surprised.
And it gives you that motivation and that setup, like immediately. It doesn't overstay its welcome, which is a huge complaint of mine in video games. So I love just how quickly it's like, okay, here's what bad stuff just happened to you, and here's why you are on a revenge killing spree. Here are the people you gotta kill, and it's great. I always love it's like I think the trope originally comes from a Japanese story, at least in Japanese video game development, comes from like a Japanese story where it's like the four evil gods kind of thing. And I mean, that story exists in lots of folklore, and so it's not just uniquely Japanese, but you got four evil enemies that you come after, or that are coming after you. And, you know, each one of them is so unique from the next, and you're like, oh, okay, I get what kind of guy this is, what kind of guy that is.
Yeah.
And in between the levels, there's like interludes. So like the first guy, is his name Mr. Boar? Was that it?
Yes.
Something like that. And he's sending you letters, and you're reading his letters, and it's very quick. It's just like a quick little interlude between levels, and it's really, really well written. It's like
the letters are delivered in the best possible way as well. So
yeah, I was afraid, just kind of because this game has like a tongue-in-cheek kind of funny atmosphere to it. I was afraid that the writing was going to be super punchy and like Joss Whedon-y or something like that. I'm done with that. I've enough pop culture, right? Yeah. But it's not like that at all. It's got just the right balance of everything in there.
And I think that is the biggest compliment that I can give to this game, is that this game feels incredibly balanced in almost every aspect of it. The pacing of the way that they deliver the story, like the game knows exactly what it wants to be, and while it does have a fun story that you can get into, it knows that, yeah, at the heart of it, it's a score chaser, so it doesn't take a lot of time to get to that point.
So getting back to the gameplay, there's like, for lack of a better word, like waves of enemies that you go through. So it'll be like stage, say 1-1, and in 1-1 there's maybe 4 different waves, so it's broken down even further. And you're just kind of continuing to run across the screen, and you get into like little, what would you call these, like barracks? Or
I'd like to elaborate on what you were saying, though. It's not so much waves as you are going from place to place, and more of you are traveling through different encampments to take out all the enemies that are presented to you.
Yeah.
It's not like you are going to the enemies, not the other way around.
Yes. So. And you pick up all these different items in the environment. So, you know, like your regular stuff that you'd expect, like swords, hatchets, like big old staffs, or like maybe an oar for, you know, fishing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, carrots, ladders, cooked chicken, chains, hook shots, arrows, bows and arrows. They really, really throw in a ton of variety, and it always keeps the kills very fresh. And you can always come at, like, if you die, you're gonna die. You die, and then you come back out, you're like, okay, I need to kind of approach this a little bit differently. And so you can always grab different weapons, like if you need a throwing weapon or something, or maybe you need a weapon that has 3 hits and then it breaks instead of 1 hit. So it always keeps that puzzle aspect open to you, so you have a variety of ways to attack a problem.
Yeah, and I kind of pick that up like within the first level or two. It does a really good job at explaining the type of game that it wants to be. It is not just a normal like Diablo clone hack and slash. It is more puzzle than it is anything else. When I was playing around, especially when you pick up some of the new variety of weapons, one of my favorite is just the simple sword or the rapier, because you do this dashing attack that takes you, maybe like 4 or 5 body lengths away from where you originally were, but you realize you can do that in mid-air. So you use that as an element of momentum for your character to get around, and it makes everything feel so fluid and smooth.
Yeah, like level design wise too, they introduce it in an area that you would need to make like a little extra jump. And there's a couple different items in the area that you can use to do that, but they specifically want to show you that you can use a sword to get across this gap. So the sword is like right there. So they're kind of asking you to do that kind of thing, which is good. It's good level design.
Absolutely.
Speaking of good level design, there is a moment in like, I think the second world or something like that, where I jumped on top of a barrel and then I rode the barrel like Looney Tunes style.
Yep.
Or, God, what was that terrible movie? The Hobbit, like where the barrel's rolling down the water.
I believe you are speaking of Desolation of Smaug.
Smooch.
Smooch.
Smooch. Smooch. Anyway, I'm rolling on a barrel and I rolled into like 2 or 3 guys, and then it explodes and you jump off of it. I jump off immediately seamlessly into a like barrel of hay, not barrel, but like a carriage of hay that like a horse would pull, and then that goes flying into a bonfire, and then that like lights all the surrounding enemies and engulfs them in flames. And I was like, oh, like I just had this big dumb like excited kid on a roller coaster face.
Yeah, in that same level there's also an element of destructibility in the environment as well too, because that same wheelbarrow that catches on fire smashes into a house, and the house then catches on fire too.
Right.
Yeah. So and that all just goes into the whole, fluidity thing that I was talking about before.
It's super fluid, but that's also where I want to get into a few of my negatives with the game.
Yes.
So
go ahead.
Okay. So it is light speed fast, very fast, and I'm real old and I got shit eyes. And this is probably just like a personal gripe as opposed to a genuine criticism. It just is moving so fast, and I feel like sometimes I'm not really planning out what I'm trying to do so much as I'm just kind of giving it a shot, or like, getting lucky on certain things.
It's more trial and error with emphasis on the error.
Yeah, which, is fine. Like, that doesn't bother me too much, but then sometimes I'm just like, I don't know if I have, not control, but I just like am moving so quickly that I'm just bad. I'm just not good at this, I think.
And it's definitely a particular style of game. You think of other games that are kind of like that. Super Meat Boy, N+. N+ or N++? I can't remember. Anyway.
Brilliant.
But it's that same mentality of it's more trial and error, and you're going to die, but you're going to reload pretty fast too, which, by the way, kudos to that idea, because when you die, you are right back into the action.
There's no loading.
Super fast.
Yeah.
That I very much appreciate. So I'm personally used to that kind of fast gameplay. However, my gripes came from more of the decisions that they made with the camera. I like the whole isometric, top-down perspective of it, but I felt like the camera was pulled out too much. So I found a couple of times where I was struggling with the more finer details of getting my character in place to make his attack.
I think that it's pulled out so much because it is moving so quickly. If this game were slower and a little bit more methodical, and that's more my style, is like a bit more of a stealth game or a puzzle game where you really think about it, as opposed to like a super high octane crazy fast game. I think that that's just sort of a concession that needed to be made in terms of it being pulled out so much. But then you have the issue of like, maybe visual overload, and in terms of like not art design, but just like color design, maybe like what is able to be picked up in my environment. And they do have like a little bit of a highlight around things, like a white highlight, But when you're in a big, busy environment and there's multiple things in one little area to pick up, it's kind of like, I'll just press A and hope for whatever I pick up.
Yeah, and when you are trying to go and keep that that motion and that momentum going forward, it kind of hurts to be mashing buttons. Like in one of the levels, it first introduces the facet that you can use your bladed weapons to cut down trees and then use the trees as a ramp.
Mm-hmm.
I continuously found myself cutting down the tree and then taking a solid 5-10 seconds just to align my character up to the point of trying to get onto the tree and up it the way that it wants me to actually go.
Oh.
Yeah. So I
wish
wanted to be more precise with the game, but I felt like the limitations of the way that they set it up were preventing me from doing that without me changing the way I look at the game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I messed around with all of the buttons because that's kind of the first thing I do when I pick up a game is I just press every single button. When I got hands on this game, you actually couldn't do anything. You could only move to the right because it was the opening of the game. But I don't think that this exists. I hope that it does, but I would rather wish that this exists. You know how in games you'll have a run button, so you have to press it and it's a toggle or a hold. Instead of a run button, I wish that there was a toggle for a walk button in this, because your default is you want to be moving fast and stuff.
Yeah.
But when you have a situation like yours, which is very infrequent, but you still want that ability, then suddenly you hold that button, he's moving, half speed. And then that way you can align yourself a little bit more in a precise manner.
No, absolutely. Only other critique that I had of the game itself, how did you feel about the actual loading time when the game is first booting up?
Oh yeah, on boot up of the game, starting it up from the home screen, it did take a while, and there's a little axe spinning in the bottom right to let you know it is loading, don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was one moment when the axe froze and I was like, did my game freeze? It did take longer than I expected, but I was fine with it. Just a boot up screen doesn't bother me so much. The loading in between levels was not that long. I guess it could have been short up a bit, but it didn't bother me that much. The most important thing was as soon as you die, you need to be right back into that action, and you are.
Exactly.
So
and that's why
care.
Yeah, that's personally it's more of a half critique than anything else. I mean, it does redeem itself for how quickly you get back into the action.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I don't know, with the, I don't want to call it simplistic, but with the cell shaded art style that they decided to go with, where it is more monochromatic when it is its color variation.
What are you talking about?
I'm trying to think of what other games are styled kind of like that. I was thinking more of, I don't know, how do you describe that? Games like...
Well, okay, so before I get into that, I do want to say that we shouldn't confuse art direction for the complexity of what's going on, especially because you don't know what engine they're using, and it's a very oversimplified thing that lots of people do. So, and there's a tiny bit of truth to it where if it is very complex, then you would expect it to take longer to load or something like that. If it's visually simple, you expect it to not take long to load. Just kind of file sizes kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
But that's not always the case. As a matter of fact, that's not even the standard case. It's just that sometimes that correlation can be drawn. So anyway, I don't like to entertain that thought very much just because it's so misconstrued on the internet. So
no, that's fair.
But going back to the art style, what you're saying, the game that actually I did think of a lot in terms of the colors that they were using and the textures on the colors.
Untitled Goose Game?
No.
Oh. Okay.
No.
Continue.
Interrupt me. You mess with the honk, you get the bonk, okay?
Yeah, I did press Y, so.
Night in the Woods. Do you remember that game?
Vaguely. Remind me about this one.
I never played it, so I don't really know what it's about. I think it's very much like a social game. It's not like a visual novel, but it's very dialogue heavy, character driven, that kind of thing. But just go to Google, type in Night in the Woods, and you can see the color palette is very similar, at least in the earlier stages of the game where it's very fall. and fall is in autumn.
Okay.
And the textures that are on top of the colors, where it looks, oh god, neither of us are like art majors or anything like that, so we're bad at, like, we know what it looks like in our brains, but getting it out there, I have no idea what I even want to look or refer to. But hey, we have a lot of artistic people who listen to our podcast. I know we have like actual designers. Write into us and tell us what the hell is wrong with us. It helps us improve. NintendoEverythingPod@gmail.com. But sort of on that topic, though, the visuals, absolutely a joy to look at. The characters' limbs are like when they move, it's almost like simulating like motion blur or something like that, because the limbs kind of feel like taffy. Like they look and feel like a little bit long when like they're dashing across. And I don't know, it's something I picked up on in terms of like visual design for like giving you a real strong sense of movement. Because if your character, who is like kind of a burly guy, if he just kind of is moving like a little potato guy and moving really fast, it's probably going to feel like you move like Pac-Man or something. It's not going to feel right. But the animators, whoever is working on the animation for this game, they really know their stuff, and they really tried out a bunch of different things.
Yeah, the way that the characters attacked and moved around, this is going to be a little weird, but it actually reminds me a lot of the Jak and Daxter games, especially the latter ones.
Oh.
Especially when they make those attacks, because it's that elongation of in almost a cartoonic sense.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, stretching your fist out just that little bit more, and it gets that little bit bigger to give that emphasis to it.
And we also, I can't believe we haven't even mentioned it yet, but at the end of each like encampment or wave of enemies, the very last enemy that you kill, depending on whatever weapon you're holding or not holding at the time, you get a brief cinematic glory kill that is just so much fun to watch.
It is wonderful. It really does inspire me to want to go and replay levels, because I want to see the different animations that I can do with this game.
Oh, totally. When I was like, you know what, I think that this might be the last guy in the wave, I would specifically pick up a new weapon that I hadn't seen the glory kill of at the end. And so it goes into like a little brief cutscene, as opposed to the whole game, you know, is being played like in real time up until that very last kill. So,
do you have a favorite so far?
I really like the one with the sword that's very much like a Japanese film, where, you know, they do the cut and then the guy dies, but he dies in front of the camera, but he's just kind of standing there and everyone's standing there, and he puts his blade away kind of thing.
Just
and
that
then
momentary pause.
Yeah, that big old splash of blood. And this game, we can't understate this. It's very, very bloody. It's very comedic.
Not a gory way. It's definitely a comedic.
Yeah.
You know, every time you kill an enemy, there's like a large splash that, you know, scatters the ground. But yeah,
it's great. It's a real fun time. Very fast paced. I mean, like, I didn't know what I was getting into at all. I think I probably played it at the wrong time. I'm very tired today, and I played it today, and just several levels into it, I was like, nobody can move at this speed.
Everybody get on my level. You may need to crouch.
No. My level is slow. That's what I am. So I don't know how much this game is for me, specifically like my type of like very slow, methodical gameplay, but I'm going to give this game another solid go later on this week, when, you know, I'm in the mindset of playing like a super fast-paced, crazy game.
You did play the flashy games like the Astral Chain.
I did play Astral Chain, and Astral Chain runs at a lower frame rate than this game does. This game runs at a faster frame rate. It performs nicely on Switch too, we should say that. So
that is
can't
cool.
go wrong if you're thinking about any other platform. If you're thinking about Switch or whatever, it's good that way. Did you play it in handheld, Galen?
I played it exclusively in handheld. I haven't played it on the console yet. How about you?
I played it on TV.
Oh, good.
And everything was cool there. Was everything good on your end in terms of...
Never had a problem.
Cool.
So
yeah, check it out. It's called Bloodroots, and I'm sure I'll end up talking about it again next week.
Yeah. And again, shout out to Papercult for, you know, sending us a couple copies of the game so we can give it a try. So
Yes.
this was a lot of fun to play through.
Yes, thank you very much. We're always happy to talk about indie developers stuff. If you are an indie developer listening, or if you have one that you want to recommend, get in touch with us. Get them in touch with us. And we're happy to promote something that we think looks really cool, especially when it goes under the radar in that eShop garbage bin.
Absolutely.
That eShop is a garbage can.
Send me all of your indie dating sims.
Galen, you would fail at those dating sims so bad, and there's so many and so often on the Nintendo eShop. So in addition to Bloodroots, what have we been playing? I just want to give a little bit of an update. I played a little bit more Xenoblade, of course, and the only thing I want to...
Amish Blades?
Amish Blades is fantastic. I just want to mention one thing about it so far, because I'll talk about, characters and stuff when we do our spoiler cast in the future.
Oh boy.
But I'm making liberal use of the expert mode in the definitive edition. So expert mode is where you basically can control your levels. So oftentimes, and it was my experience with the original Wii version, I would be over-leveled because I'm doing all the quests, I'm gathering all the materials, and exploring. All of that stuff nets you experience points, then you end up being too high of level for the enemies in the area, or maybe in the new area that you're going to, maybe even the boss battle, you're just over-leveled for it because the enemies don't scale with your level. They're all specifically designed in certain areas to be, this is an area that has level 90 guys and you are level 10, that kind of thing. So it's designed specifically like that. So the expert mode really fixes that for me, where it's like, okay, I'm level 40 right now. I feel like not engaged in combat at all. So I'm going to drop myself down to level 35. And then now battles are more engaging to me, and boss battles feel like they have the weight that the story wants them to have, as opposed to, how that happens in RPGs sometimes, where it's like, holy shit, we're gonna fight the big tough dude, and then you beat him.
I'm the one who killed your master. Now fight me, boy. And oh my god, what is this Ultima?
I'm making real good use of that, and it's keeping the game very engaging and fun, and I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. In addition to Xenoblade, though, I recently bought fitness boxing.
So this is different than plugging in the Wii and playing Wii boxing.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what any of that is.
I don't know what fitness boxing is, so
fitness boxing
explain to me.
Is a game that was published by Nintendo, a good year and a half ago, I want to say.
Please tell me that the game is just teaching you how to lift boxes with motion controls.
Yes, Galen, that's what this game is. No, you don't, Oprah. This is a boxing game where you use the Joy-Con in your hands to box. It's a fitness game, obviously. So I can't find... What are you laughing at?
You don't say.
Oh, shut up, Mr. Pot calling the kettle black over there. What's this, cute little face? All right. I wish you would just take a screenshot of your face right now. You look like a second grader taking a photo, and they're like, okay, now put your fist on your chin and turn your head slightly. Smile. That's your face.
It's too late for this.
So very late. I'm so tired, guys, really. Let me talk, Galen. Look at him ruining. You play the martyr in Wars You Start, Galen. That's what you are.
I just think it's absolutely hilarious because you've been running this entire show with the predicated notion that nobody listens to me. So because of that, everything that I'm saying has absolutely no voice whatsoever. And you are just arguing with yourself and getting mad at yourself.
If there were a camera right here, it would just be me, talking to myself, drinking, 2 bottles of wine.
We do have a camera set up. And yes, you do have 2 bottles of wine, so accurate.
Fitness boxing for the Nintendo Switch. I don't remember who developed this, but it wasn't Nintendo, and for whatever reason, Nintendo published it. So I was like, okay, well, it's probably a quality game. There was a big sale recently on a bunch of Nintendo-published games this past week. I can't find a copy of Ring Fit Adventure to save my life, So I was like, you know what? I need something because we're here in quarantine. I am kicking myself so often for having Ring Fit be right in front of my face a bajillion different times in at least 2 different countries, and I didn't buy it. And then now we're all in quarantine and we're all wishing that we could shake hip, but we can't shake hip.
You know, it's funny. You can literally go to the local Goodwill and pick up Wii Fit balance boards everywhere, but you can't.
No one wants that.
But you cannot find this game to save your life.
No one. So I picked up Fitness Boxing. It was on sale for $35 US, which I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds about fair. It's actually $50 US like regularly. I think that that's a bit much of an ask, but I also haven't dived into everything that this game has to offer. It's got a demo, so I tried out the demo before buying it just to be sure that this is, a good fit. And it was exactly what I wanted. It has basically daily routines, and then there's like, free workouts and stuff you can do, but basically it encourages you to get in, do your daily routine, get the out of there. And it's just something I can turn on, do a 30-minute routine, something that's structured. That's it. And it's perfect. So that way I can focus on it daily. Me and Cliff are going to be doing it. Hopefully doing some cardio, losing a couple of pounds. I mean, I don't need to lose any pounds, but my arms felt a little sore after I did it.
That's good.
Yeah, which is surprising because it's, it's boxing and it's like a rhythm game kind of. So, and they have like the worst, pop songs on there.
Of course they do. It's like mandatory.
But they're in like the really shitty synthetic instruments with no vocals. That actually makes it better because you kind of can't tell that you're boxing to Bad Romance by Lady Gaga, so that way it doesn't end up becoming an earworm in your ear until somebody says Bad Romance by Lady Gaga.
Sounds like it would fit right in with the Kingdom Hearts franchise, but we'll talk more about that later.
I'm thinking about like Lady Gaga cross Utada Hikaru mashup boxing. Boxing of Memories 352 divided by fitness.
You know that Goofy would be dressed up like Lady Gaga. My dog disapproves of that joke.
So if you're looking for a fitness game, you can't get Ring Fit, consider Fitness Boxing. At least download the demo and see if like that works for you, because it's exactly what I need. Something structured, real quick. The voice person, the you can change your instructor, which is good. Okay. But the first one that they start off with is a lady that has I want to say Chinese accent. I want to say like maybe like Hong Kong or something like that. I just can't place it exactly, but I've heard this kind of accent so much before. It's adorable. It's very precious, but it is also weird when there are many other instructors and many of them are at least English as a first language users. So I love it because I love listening to accents, but I think maybe some other people might find it distracting. Whatever, you can change your instructor. You can dress them up too, which is a little bit weird.
Is it Wii Fit levels of like enthusiasm in the voice and the acting?
Yes, it's corny.
Yes.
It's corny, but I do like it because they do a thing where it's like, you're in the middle of your workout and they're like, all right, good, keep it up. Remember, right hand by your or by your chin or something like that. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right, my hand is slipping and things like that. And I was like, good, that's exactly what I need for a fitness thing. Or if they'll be like, okay, remember, engage your core here, or back straight or something like that. So it's genuinely effective.
Nice.
Yeah.
It sounds like a nice little workout package.
It's a perfect workout packet for weak little Laffy Taffy men like me. That Laffy Taffy. Laffy Taffy. Girl, shake that Laffy Taffy. That Laffy Taffy.
I got nothing.
Galen has never heard any of that.
Never.
But you know what you have heard of? Paradise. AKA Eden.
Yes.
AKA the Rakuen. Tell me about One Step from Rakuen. No, I can't say that. One Step from Eden, that's the name of the game. Galen.
Thank you. So yeah, I've been taking some more time this week to play a little bit more of One Step from Eden, and I'm beginning to garner a better understanding of what this game is and what it is not. One of the things that I'm really liking is that because I've been playing it as much as I have, I've unlocked a lot more of the characters. Now, there are actually 9 different characters that you can play as in this game. So yeah, every character has its own buster attack that you can make, and some of them use your magic pool that you have, some of them don't, but it does kind of change the flow of what your character is. The standard character that you start with, they just do like a pepper 1 to 5 damage bullet that they shoot out, but you can do it multiple times and it doesn't take up any magic. One of the other characters that you can get specializes in breaking floors and breaking tiles to limit the amount of movement that your other character or your enemies can do. Another character focuses primarily on items and structures that you can go ahead and drop down on the field, and their buster attack is that you whack something with a huge wrench, that if it's a structure, you give it extra power and like 25 shield or something. So there's a lot of different ways to play this game, and while there is still that randomized roguelike thing going into it, there's ways that you can manipulate the game if there's a particular playstyle that you like to use. The bosses are also really cool because every character that you can play as are also characters that will randomly show up as you are trying to get to Eden. And this game also does have a, I call it slay or save function. So once you beat the enemy, you can either spare the boss or you can execute them. And depending on if you kill all the enemies, if you save them all, or if you mix it up, there's actually 3 different endings that you can get in this game for every single character.
Ah, that's fun.
So there's a lot of replay value that actually goes into this. And it also gives you some passive incentives on which way you want to play. So if you save an enemy, they will give you back like 400 HP, and they also may come in randomly to assist you in a future battle.
That's always fun.
Yeah. But if you decide to execute them, you are guaranteed a high-end rare spell for you to use on that run. So you're sacrificing power, but you may be gaining an ally.
Which is it, friends or self?
I will be honest, I have never executed an enemy so far in the game. I don't know if it's because I'm afraid to or what, but yeah.
I wonder how you'd play Shin Megami Tensei games.
That's probably a good question. I usually go more pacifist runs if it presents to me as an option. I will usually go that route.
You are a big, gigantic, weak person.
It's true.
And I am a big man.
So I've also kind of learned on what this game is not. And this game is not Mega Man Battle Network. It is heavily inspired by it. And not only in just the play style, but, you know, the music, a lot of that spirit is kind of there. But also at the same time, like, Mega Man Battle Network was really about creating your own custom person and building on that throughout the course of the entire game, where shortening that into these little bite-sized chunks each run that you're going through, it's much more random, it's much more sporadic.
Is that a good thing, though, that, you know, the game is kind of doing its own thing, or how do you feel about that?
I definitely appreciate that it's doing its own thing, and I don't consider that a negative, that it is not Battle Network. It should be a bit of a disclaimer more than anything, that it is inspired by, but definitely not, or influenced by. But what I also like is that they have that growth in character in different ways. So every time you do a run in the game, you gain levels to your character. And when you gain a level, you get a certain artifact that can be applied towards your character for that run. When you die, all of your levels go towards an overall progression system, and what that will do is that will unlock more spells and more advanced spells for you to be able to use the next time you run through the game. It allows you to unlock more characters to be able to use, costumes to be able to use, because this game has alternate costumes for every single character there. There is a lot to actually unlock in this game.
Like a cape to the throat fashion show.
You're also learning more and recognizing more on the enemy patterns that are there. So, yes, it may still be random, but I feel like this game does a good amount of growth in skill and also growth in character at the same time.
Has the story fleshed out? I remember you said that was a bit of a bummer last week.
It is, and it has not fleshed out whatsoever. I get little tidbits on the personality of the characters, but as far as like any overarching narrative on what the heck I'm doing and why am I trying to get to Eden, or why am I rescuing these random hostages that show up in the game, I have no idea. But with the way that the game is actually structured, I don't necessarily know if it is that important anymore.
Well, at least it's not one of those stories that is like, it has no meaning, but it's saying a bunch of words and it's just taking up a bunch of your time.
Exactly.
Like a game series we'll talk about later.
No, overall, I am thoroughly enjoying my time with this game. I am so grateful it was recommended to me. Thank you very much for that recommendation, both
You're
you
welcome.
personally and everybody who has recommended it on Twitter. So,
Nice.
yeah. Plus, it's classic Battle Network grid-based combat, which I'm totally down for. I've been missing that. So,
That's a market that needs to be filled.
exactly.
Someone
highly
fill Galen up.
Mega Man Jack in. Execute.
Hey. So here in the news, we got a Nintendo Direct this week. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. That was a typo. A Pokemon Presents.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of weird.
Yeah. I didn't see this coming. Okay.
It was weird because we've never had a thing like this before, have we? We've always just had like Pokemon Direct or something, right?
Yeah, I want to say that we have, but they have always flown under the banner of Nintendo Presents Pokemon Direct kind of thing.
Right.
Never just, the Pokemon company saying, hey, brush your teeth.
So the Pokemon Presents had about like 4 or 5 sections of announcements in there. It was nice. I'm not the hugest Pokemon fan, but let's go through it a little bit, shall we?
Yes.
So, Pokemon Smile was announced. It is
This
app.
game made me smile.
I thought it was really cute. It is an app for teeny tiny little babies who don't like brushing their teeth, like Galen.
Literal teeny tiny babies.
Itty bitty. It's supposed to be used for parents and little kids, and the kids, running away from the toothbrush. They hate brushing their teeth.
Mm-hmm. I felt like I was being punked, to be completely honest, like when it
What?
started.
No, I
seriously.
thought it was adorable. So how it functions is it uses the front-facing camera on your phone or your smart device, and the child brushes their teeth, and you're like saving a few Pokemon from plaque or something. I'm not super sure. Whatever. It's the function of getting your child to brush their teeth, have fun brushing their teeth, that good shit. I tried to use it actually the morning of its announcement, and when I tried to use the basic function, just the camera wouldn't load and it wouldn't work on my Galaxy S7. So I'm sure there's been a couple updates since then. I'm sure it probably is getting fixed or whatever, but my phone is also a little bit older. Can't wait to give it a go though. Can't wait to save Bulbasaur from plaque monsters.
I absolutely love the little disclaimer that they had on the bottom. This app is not intended to prevent or treat cavities, nor does it guarantee that players will gain a liking for toothbrushing or make it a habit.
The little disclaimer that I loved at the bottom is that this is a completely free app and there's no in-app purchases. It's
I
just
like
purely this is to get your children exposed to Pokemon, of course, and get brand recognition in there. It's a product, of course,
and that's why I really don't have much negative to say about it, because it's cute, it's harmless. You know what? You do you. Charmander says, "Brush your teeth."
All the merrier. It was a good little commercial. It was really cute. There's a lot of like mothers and their kids. I was kind of surprised they didn't do any fathers with their kids, but anyway, it was cute.
Yeah.
The next thing up was Pokemon Café Mix.
Pokemon Barista Simulator 2020.
Yes. So this is another one of those free to start, got in at purchases puzzle games. You apparently link icons together of Pokemon faces to get points, and then you get enough points to prepare cafe drinks and food for Pokemon.
Yeah.
And you expand your menu, decorate your cafe, attract visitors, all that stuff to keep doing your dailies and your phone stuff. And they're all the phone games are structured the same.
Yeah, it definitely. When they started at the beginning saying two things: one, it's free to start, not free to play, and two, pre-ordering, preloading, and pre-registering are all going to be available after the show. And it's just, is there anybody who's really going to be like itching to preload and
people do that shit all the time?
I mean, I guess it's definitely not for me, but I just had to kind of take a step back and be like, really, are you just saying this for the sake of saying it? So
I mean, that's just to get people to pull out their phone while they're on the presentation and get them preloading, because as soon as they're preloading, then that means that they get a reminder when it's finally out, and then they don't like forget about it or whatever. Just like any kind of engagement in this ridiculously fast-paced society that we live in is what they want.
I am a little bit curious as to where the quote puzzle aspect is going to be coming from, when literally all you're doing is just rubbing your phone with your sausage fingers.
Very greasy.
From what I understood, like, the idea is that you're mixing the coffee around and you're trying to link up the Pokemon's faces while you're doing that. But literally, you're just swirling your finger around the screen. So.
And yeah, there's like a lot of like faces in there. They're kind of like gumballs in a gumball machine. There's a lot of them in there. So it's not even like Pokemon Shuffle, which was that first phone game that they did, where you had strategy in there or like some sort of patterns that you could do. So I don't know, whatever. People who play these games, let us know. Let us know.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question before we move on, though? What did you think of the way that the characters were designed, specifically just the art style that they decided to use for it?
Yeah, I was just about to talk about that. I think that it's a cute art style. They do look a little bit different from like typical Pokemon looks, which I think is good. You got to have a direction in your art style. I liked the colors, the color palette that they chose. It was great. But it does this thing that I'm seeing more and more, and I really hate it. It's the animations. They have these like marionette style movements where it's really hard to describe, but it's very much like a marionette where they have joints on their elbows and on their shoulders and stuff, and
it's like everything is every limb is being moved on a hinge as opposed to being connected and having it like fluid motions.
Correct. It's basically like you just draw and
like it was done in Flash.
Well, not so much Flash, but it's just like you draw things and then you program them to be like, this is the arm and this is the shoulder joint and whatever. That way you can animate them with a program as opposed to drawing multiple keyframes and drawing an actual animation loop for characters and stuff. It's an art style for sure, but I think that it is also used in lieu of making actual animations, and I love animation. And yeah, I really don't like it because I see it a lot. When I see it a little bit, it doesn't bother me because it is a genuine, art direction. I remember Hyrule Warriors had some of that, and it wasn't being overused at the time, so it didn't bother me. But I don't know, I see it so much now.
I just think it's funny because, like, on top of that, I also liked the designs of Pokemon Smile too. Like, it definitely is a different take. Yeah, it definitely is a different take on the very iconic character designs of them, and there's a lot of variety that you can throw into the mix. I just thought it was kind of funny that it looks like they put more effort into this than they did Sword and Shield. So
Yeah, I wish that in their mainline games they would get a little bit more creative with the art style. I feel like it's just so incredibly safe. And, you know, I've said this before, but I wish that they would change up the engine. I'm sure lots of the Pokemon's character models are baked into that engine, though, so it's got like the Skyrim problem where it's like, oh, we're in too deep, how do we get out? That kind of thing. But Pokemon's an insanely profitable franchise, so like I really wish that, you know, they would do that for the next one.
I mean, you know, once you go plaque, you can't go back.
Oh God. No more strength left. And then the big announcement that came out of this is that there is finally a new Pokemon Snap game being developed.
This came out of nowhere for me.
People have been clamoring for this for years, especially ever since the Wii U, just because they were like, that's the perfect thing for it.
They have been clamoring for this for 20 years, which they made a point to point out, which just made me feel old. Like I watched this with my wife, and when they were like, the original Pokemon Snap came out for the N64 20 years ago, my wife just kind of looked over at me and was like, ooh, Pokemon, no, that hurt. Ooh.
So this is being developed by Bandai Namco. And
nice.
We just saw like kind of a quick trailer of it just to show off the visuals. They showed off several different environments. It seems to still be on rails. So what Pokemon Snap is for it's like the cutest way of an on rails shooter. So you're rolling around in kind of like an amusement park style cart, and you throw out apples and Pokeballs and a whole bunch of different stuff to get Pokemon that are in their environment to interact with what they're doing, do different poses, and you're taking photos of them to get higher points and stuff like that. And people have been clamoring for it.
Yeah. It was really cool back in the day because you would like knock a Charmeleon into the lava and it would suddenly evolve into a Charizard. And that's what you would need to do in order to take a picture of a Charizard and add that to your own file.
Right. And it wasn't just take a photo of a Charizard. It was like, is this Charizard breathing fire right now? Is it, you know, roaring and that kind of stuff. So it was a game that encouraged replayability because obviously if it's on rails and you're focusing on, you know, the left area of this particular part of the map, you can't focus on the right. So you have to come back and replay that to see what was happening on the right. You know, what's hiding there? What can you get out of there?
I'm kind of interested to see where they're going to be going with this game and what they're actually going to be adding in there because, yeah, of course, you have the most iconic Pokemon, which, if you ask me, are the original 150 are the ones that most people instantly kind of recognize when they look at them. But there's been so much evolution to the series, pun slightly intended. It's going to be interesting to see what they add in there and what's going to kind of make that same status.
They showed off a lot of different Pokemon from different generations, so that was good. I'm sure that people will be loving that. I wonder, though, how short this game will be because of, like I said, the replayability factor, which, you know, is a genuine gameplay decision. But the N64 game was notoriously short.
Yeah. Well, and back when the N64 game came out, there was only... I can't remember if Gold and Silver had come out in the States at that point.
Yeah.
I'd have to look into that. But, I mean, there was one or maybe two regions that you can actually go off of. And yes, this was taking place in its own island or whatever, but we now live in a world where there are, 7, 8 different regions to be able to select from with Pokemon that are specific to those areas. And not even talking about the region-specific versions, like Alolan Meowth versus Galarian Meowth.
Right, and they could also have this be one of those ongoing games that they support with DLC, you know what I mean?
That was another thought that I had, yeah.
So I could foresee this being, you know, one of those evergreen titles for them, but at the same time, is Pokemon Snap a niche title?
I don't think so. I think just the legacy of it is enough to kind of elevate it beyond that niche status.
Yeah, at least for this entry, I agree.
Yeah.
And for me, the ironic thing is I'm more interested in this than I am in Sword and Shield, just because visually that game was a letdown. And I don't just mean like visually like, oh, the graphics aren't good enough. I just meant like nothing was really going on too much there. They made a couple of good baby steps in the right direction, but nothing that got me excited. This one, I'm like, oh, cool. I get to see Pokemon's, I've never said that in my life. I get to see Pokemon interacting and with each other and in their own environment. That's the kind of stuff I really love. That's also why I'm a little bit bummed that it is still on rails, because I like to take my time and, you know, explore environments, but I get that makes it easier to develop for.
Absolutely. And also, honestly, with it being on rails, I'm going to want them to put in a lot more places to kind of satisfy that need for exploration. So, yeah. Honestly,
the unfinished footage in this looks a little bit better than Sword and Shield, in my opinion. I mean, it's a little bit different, but I don't know, there's just a little bit more going on here.
Yeah.
Use a new engine, Pokemon, please. New Pokemon Sword and Shield or whatever the hell. Hire on a whole bunch of temp designers and, you know, just put a little bit of that money into making new character models and new animations and all that stuff. Like, I know it's expensive. That's the nature of what you got, but it's the freaking so incredibly profitable series. Like, it's not like you ain't got the money.
Yeah.
Give people work. So after Pokemon Snap, we got a little bit of info about like Pokemon Go and how it's using new stuff to allow people to play it during quarantine and not encourage them to go outside, which is cool.
Hey, you remember the social gathering game? Well, don't do that.
The social distancing game. Pokemon Stay.
Pokemon Sit. Pokemon Roll Over.
Pokemon Shut Up, Galen.
I haven't heard of that one yet.
It's in development. It's been in development for a really long time.
Well, let me know when I can pre-order, preload, and pre-register for that one.
And Pokemon...
right after this podcast.
Shut up.
Hey.
And Pokemon Go Fest 2020 is digital this year, which is cool. They should have done that back in 2017 when that was a huge embarrassment in Chicago. Do you remember that one?
I live near Chicago, and no, I don't.
So that was when Pokemon Go first came out, and it was like, just everybody was like, what, you know? And they did a big festival in Chicago out of anywhere in the world. People flew in, and their phones weren't working. The app wasn't working. People were getting awful and belligerent. They were in the park, and they were like throwing bottles at the presenters and stuff, which was awful. It was an embarrassing nightmare.
Wow, that sounds embarrassing.
Yes, for Niantic especially. And then we also got the immediate release of the Isle of Armor DLC for Pokemon Sword and Shield. Galen and I aren't playing that, so whatever. It's out.
All of the sizzle reel, yeah.
And they also said that they're going to have another Pokemon Presents next week, which is the weirdest part.
Yeah, they said that June 24th they're going to be coming out to talk about a new project they've got going on.
So Galen.
Yeah?
Now, considering many people are listening to this podcast after the 24th, I mean, this episode goes up on the 21st, I think. They're going to be hearing about this beforehand, so they already know. They already know what's happening in the 24th. They're the future time travelers, okay?
Okay.
Let's just throw out a prediction of what's going to be in that just for the sake of our listeners, so they can be like, oh, Galen was so wrong, and they'll say
Pokemon Pinball.
Hey, maybe. That's actually a good guess.
I'd play that.
Anything else you thinking we might see there? Just throw out something.
The return of the Pokedometer from Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
I don't know what that is, and I don't care to find out.
Did you never play the Soul Silver remake for...
No.
Okay.
No.
It came with this little, like, Tamagotchi-esque pedometer that you would carry around with you, and you can upload your Pokemon to it, and you can also get, like, eggs from the pedometer that had, like, special moves that you couldn't normally get. Actually, fun story, my favorite Pokemon that I had ever gotten was a Munchlax from this thing, and it was special because it had the move Self-Destruct, which it cannot learn in any other way. And every single time that I ever played the game with my friend, we'd get into a battle, Snorlax would always be the last Pokemon I send out, and if things started to go bad, self-destruct, and I think we're still like at a stalemate for like wins versus losses.
That is lovely, and you have told that story before, but I wanted to leave it in.
It's a good fun story.
It is, yeah. I'm gonna guess maybe something about the Detective Pikachu game on Switch that they talked about almost a year ago now.
About that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So did everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, kind of missing the boat there, but okay.
I'm sure there's something about merchandising or clothing or something like that. Maybe some TV show or movie nonsense.
My wife called out the Pokemon shirt that the presenter was wearing with the little Pokeball buttons on the front of it.
Yeah, I mean, they got some cool designs. They unveiled it was
the t-shirt line.
It wasn't t-shirts, it was business shirts. I'm trying to I kept thinking to call it waishatsu, but that's Japanese. Business shirts. And they were Pokemon designs. I like that. That's great. And I think a lot of people are probably wondering, like, is there going to be some remake of another generation yet? Or is there going to be another Let's Go game or something like that? So, I mean, they tend to do it every other year, but they are trying to focus on DLC for this Pokemon Sword and Shield, right? So I don't think that they're going to announce that.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder if they have either learned a lesson from or not on their Pokemon side stories where they try to, like, what was the one for the GameCube? It was like XD Gale of Darkness or something, where they tried to put like an
What is that stupid shit you just said?
No, there was a Pokemon game for the GameCube. It was like Gale of Darkness, but it was all about
Galen
you playing...
of Darkness.
Sure, look it up. Galen of Darkness. It had a dark Lugia just with, my face on it.
I'm looking at it right now.
But they really tried to focus on making a Pokemon-esque story with a darker theme or something like that. Because you played as like a bad guy catching dark Pokemon for whatever organization. I don't know. I never actually played it, but I know that they gave it a try.
That sounds like the worst thing I've ever heard.
I wonder if they would be willing to branch back out into a Pokemon side story set in the world, but not necessarily in the same, not mechanics, formula as a traditional Pokemon game.
Well, there's our predictions. We'll talk about it next week.
Wait, hold on.
What?
I am the only one who made predictions here. You have predicted nothing.
Classic situation of Galen not listening. I just predicted so many things.
What did you predict?
Detective
Recap.
Pikachu. I said something about merchandise, something about a TV show or something like that.
Well, I don't listen to you, so...
Exactly. Sit down.
I am sitting down.
Oh, God. Put it away. Put everything of yours away. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Speaking of the worst thing that I've ever heard of, there's a Kingdom Hearts game coming to Nintendo Switch. I don't know why everybody keeps wanting Kingdom Hearts to appear on Nintendo Switch, but they do. And a curl of the monkey paw finally happened this week when we got Kingdom Hearts Memory of Melody.
Yep.
This is a rhythm action game.
I'm already done. Like, I'm walking out of the room at this point.
I like rhythm games. I loved Theatrhythm, and I think that this is by the same studio that did Theatrhythm, but it's visually very different. Yes. I don't know if that's the case or not, though. I just read that somewhere. Mm-hmm. There's going to be 140 songs included, as well as songs from Disney. There are 4 modes that we don't know about, I don't think, but that includes online battles. And then, of course, there's some story thing with Kairi and whatever the hell, so you have to play it if you want to still try and understand that story. By the way, but just give up on Kingdom Hearts. Be like me and give up on that story. It's never happening, folks. You can enjoy it, but, I mean, keep playing it, go ahead. But just don't think that it's ever going to resolve the story. They're making it up on the way that they go. Like, it's everything is everything, nothing is everything, and nothing is nothing. That's what the story is of Kingdom Hearts, okay? It just sucks.
I love the separation of this original announcement trailer, because the first half was, showing off the gameplay and showing off Sora and Donald and Goofy running and doing their battles to the different songs, which, by the way, that 140 tracks, some including Disney songs, it is the Kingdom Hearts version of those songs. So
some of those are good.
Well, they're good, but just like fully be prepared for, what you're getting into on here.
Believe me, I think that the people that are picking this game up know exactly what they're getting into.
Fact.
They live in it, born in it, molded by it.
But it looked like they were going to be doing some sort of like recap of the series, like they usually do for these smaller games, where they're trying to catch you up on what's going on while just making things a lot more complicated.
Absolutely.
And then the last half of the trailer was all like, okay, so you've played Kingdom Hearts 3 plus the DLC, right? Yeah, because that's the only way you're going to understand any of this.
No, you're not even going to understand it that way either. Like, everything's unfinished. No, there is no closure.
Also, can we talk about how tone deaf some of these scenes seem to be?
No, I'm tired.
There's this one that they were going through, and it was like Traverse Town or something, or Twilight Town. I can't remember what the place is actually called.
Oh,
but
it's
the
both.
scene. Yeah, it's a scene with character death from 358 divided by 2, and you just have Sora and Donald and Goofy flying over to this like calming sound that's going over, where this person is like holding their dead friend in their arms, and it's just like, I'm sensing a difference here.
Whatever. I'm glad to hear some Utada Hikaru, though. That's always great. Love her.
Yeah, but you have to time your attacks to, simple and clean now.
Hey, I can do that.
Do you think that song will be in here?
Abso-freaking-lutely. If it's not, I will be flabbergasted.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Galen, regardless of warnings, the future doesn't scare me at all.
Respect.
And moving on.
Mm-hmm.
We have an announcement of an announcement.
Yep.
That finally an announcement from previously will be revealed. An ARMS character will be revealed on June 22nd.
Yep. Looks like this is going to be a full in-depth review like Sakurai usually gives out when their new characters come out. So we knew ARMS has come in. We're going to be able to see kind of like what they're doing with it now. So
yeah.
That's nice.
I love these little formats that they've been doing with the DLC characters, where Sakurai sits there and he's really awkward and he explains the mechanics and just way too in-depth on a whole bunch of stuff. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So going back into the tinfoil hat field, who do you think the character is going to be?
Okay, well,
have you had
you
some time
live
to
there.
think this over?
That's you.
I know.
But yes, with considering that that's gonna go live the day after our episode goes live, we should speculate just so that way we can be like, okay, for our listeners' sake, we're gonna place our bets now, and then that way we can bring it up next week and see who won, and whoever loses will be horribly embarrassed, Galen.
Okay. So I've got 4, maybe 5 guesses.
Oh, we don't have all day. Go ahead.
Who do you think it's going to be?
No, you first.
Okay. I don't want to say Spring Mana Ribbon Girl. I think that's too easy. Maybe Min Min? She is the... I think I read up her bio as Ramen Royalty. She,
sure.
With like the Dragon Fist or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I feel like a lot of people have been kind of like calling out for her to be the representative of that series. I'd also love to see Twintel.
Mm-hmm. She's the one I want.
Yeah. Either that, maybe Ninjara. I can't really see them using any other characters than like those 4 or 5 though.
So here's my thing is, and this goes back to like the video game ARMS, where I think that they squandered a lot of potential. I like a lot of those character designs, and I think that they should have made a story mode, and they should have blown up those characters with more story and personality and made it a bit more akin to Overwatch. And I mean, not that like Activision Blizzard has done like the most in-depth stuff with them before. They pull a lot from the fandom and they leave a lot open-ended from like a marketing perspective, so that way fans can fill things in on their own. So I think that they should have done that same thing with ARMS. So none of these characters honestly strike me as being a great representative of the whole series. Like Springman and Ribbon Girl are like the vanilla boy, vanilla girl of the series. I mean, Ribbon Girl has a little bit more of a personality because she wants to be a singer. She's a pop star, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I have to guess anyone, I think it would be Ribbon Girl or Min Min.
Yeah, Min Min is my number one choice as far as like what I'm guessing is going to show up.
But I am not throwing out the idea that it could be like Bowser Jr., where it's all of them in roles.
I mean, yeah, I can kind of see that.
Or at least like 4 of them or something like that.
As far as roles are considered, how do you think this character is going to be played?
What do you mean roles? You mean like what fighting style are they going to have?
Yeah.
Mid-range character, bad at close range.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the logical decision.
Yeah. My guess is definitely like a mid to long range character. I really think that they are going to be focusing on grabs.
I think that they're going to focus on the different arms because I don't know if, you might not have played it, the full release, but you can change your arms like you change out weapons. So you have like a normal punch, or you have one that shoots out 3 little ones. You have like the dragon fist that just shoots a laser beam. You have like a boomerang thing. There's all kinds of stuff. It's honestly a really fascinating concept and like good execution for arms, but it didn't hold me. So I'm hoping that they use that for Smash Bros. Attacks.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Custom Robo in the way of just like customizing your fighter before you jump in, but each core fighter has different attributes as well too. But getting back to Smash Bros, like I thought about like the different moves that they usually emphasize in the game. Playstyle, I think that they're going to be focusing on this character as a grab focused character because other than like Incineroar, and one can make an argument for Bowser, there's not a whole lot of characters that focus on that.
But I mean, like, even in ARMS, like, you only have one grab that you do. It's not like they're a total grappler game. Like, it's about firing off long-range punches and stuff.
Yeah.
So I really don't think they're going to be grapplers.
But as far as the rest of the moveset is considered, I feel like B is to actually use your arm attack, but like the side B move would be to switch out the arms. So it can be like an on-the-fly type thing that you can do.
Oh, I see. Or like maybe down or whatever, it doesn't matter, but like one of your B attacks switches out.
I do imagine this character will probably have a counter of subtype.
I don't think they will.
Looking at some gameplay from ARMS recently, like it kind of makes sense that there is like a bit of a counter where they can like move to the side and then throw a punch, because that is very integral to.
But that's not
how
a
the
counter
game
though.
goes.
That's just a parry or a dodge or something like that, which is in the game. I would expect that they can have certain. Okay, if they can switch out their arms with like say down B cycles through a couple of different things, certain arms will go through another attack or go through a projectile, just like in the ARMS
different
game.
priority levels.
Yeah, it's like a light, medium, and heavy kind of thing. And a heavy would go through that stuff. A light would be, knocked away right away, but it's faster and that kind of thing. That it just kind of makes sense to do it like that.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say that they probably won't make it way too complicated, but then again, we also live in a DLC world where hero is a playable thing, so...
Yeah, I wonder if they'll make this one of the easier characters, though, because they've been doing it, kind of a decent mix, and Byleth was more complicated, right?
Byleth was not complicated from when I was playing.
Oh, no? Well, I mean, you're also terrible.
Not so much. Yeah, of course. Not a real gamer, so... Yeah, this is also going to be one of the first characters for their next fighter pack. So I imagine that they are going to want to start it off with a character that will incentivize people to buying the rest of the fighter pack as opposed to just this individual character here.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the same thing too, but then they announced that the new character was going to be from ARMS, and I was like, what?
I think that's a great idea. I thought they should have had somebody from ARMS when the game originally came out.
I think so too. I think that having it as your first character in your second DLC pack is a bad idea. People aren't too excited about ARMS.
I don't know.
I think it really takes the wind out of the sails.
Fortunately, we're not going to have to wait long to find out, so...
But they also said that it's not going to have anything else in this thing. It's just specifically for this character reveal. It's not going to be another character reveal and all that stuff. So put away your speculations.
Yes.
And lastly, EA announces that they're bringing 7 games to the Nintendo Switch in the next year or so.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do know that is already on its way is Apex Legends. That is a free-to-play battle royale game by Respawn, who made the Titanfall games, and it should support crossplay with PS4, Xbox One, and PC, so that's always cool. Hopefully there's cross progression though, because a lot of people that play those games already have an account and they already have things going on, so they don't want to just start from scratch on Switch. Also announced was Burnout Paradise. This is a kind of realistic racer, and it's running at 60 frames on Switch, so that's nice. I think that there's not very many of those games on Switch, so that's a market to fill. Then an indie game called Lost in Random coming next year. This is by Zoink, who have made Flipping Death and Stick It to the Man, which are on Switch. They also did, I don't know how to pronounce it, Fe?
Oh, okay.
Iron. That game was also published by EA. So EA is trying to dip its toes into the creative indie market.
That company needs some fresh blood in it, so...
Boy, do they need something. I watched the trailer for this, and it seems kind of like an epic Mickey, Tim Burton sort of visual style. It's very reminiscent of their past games with like Flipping Death and Stick It to the Man. It seems to be like a third-person sort of action game. But the thing that really bothered me about this damn trailer is that they didn't use the singular noun for a die. They called it a dice. And that was driving me nuts. I was like, the singular version of dice is die. Sorry. Style guidelines, you know? I mean, what can you expect? I'm a translator and I'm a writer and a editing, proofreading, reviewing. I noticed all that stuff.
Hey, it's your pet peeve, so...
I hate the word pet peeve as well. I just hate in general.
You do.
And the fourth game that we already know about in this collection of 7 games is Café 21.
Mm-hmm. I think this is about the hockey.
Mm-hmm. So Faffer is about basketball. However, we know with FIFA 21 that there's not going to be any new modes or gameplay innovations unlike the other versions of FIFA 21. So this is once again the Switch version getting the short end of the stick. Hopefully they sell this for cheap. I don't expect them to.
It's EA. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So.
But the real question here is there's 3 games left that we don't know about. I think that there's some rumors and stuff about it being sort of confirmed. But anyway, just for the sake of fun, which we have on this show, it is a fun show. What else would you like to see? Stop it or I'll slap you again. What else would you like to see from EA on the Switch?
Honestly, I'd like to see them fall back on some of their other franchises and possibly bring that back over. I think the portability aspect of the Switch is perfect for RPGs. So, bring back some of the Dragon Age games. Bring back a remake of Knights of the Old Republic. Why not? I'd say Mass Effect as well, but we all know how Andromeda went, so no thank you.
Well, Andromeda won't make it over.
No. But they did bring over Mass Effect 3 on the Wii U, so
yeah,
they're open?
I could see a collection of the first 3 because they want to remind
nice.
people, like, hey, remember when Mass Effect was good? Like, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically, Andromeda uses the Frostbite engine, and that does not play well on the Switch. We specifically know that because of FIFA, which is using the Frostbite engine. And that's why FIFA 21, the Legacy Edition, is a different version from the other ones. And that's why it doesn't get the new modes and stuff, because Frostbite doesn't run well on the Switch.
Yeah. So. And
that's something that we're going to be addressing, in the next year and moving forward with the Switch, because the Switch's hardware is just so much more less capable, and that means that it just de-incentivizes, third parties from bringing over games.
Yeah, I'm just really hoping that the facets that the Switch actually brings to the table, which is ironically taking it off the table and with you, is enough is enough of an incentivizer to make companies want to reach into that market.
I think so when it's in the realm of like PS4 and Xbox One like it is now, where it's like you can get most things running on it, and then it's portable, there you go, with, some setbacks.
Portable, like streaming it through other consoles, or...
What? No, I'm talking about the Switch.
Oh, gotcha.
You can, you can take something...
Sorry, you confused me because you said it like, portable, like on the PlayStation, and it's like, wait, what?
No, slap. But when we're talking about like PS5 and Xbox versus the Switch, there's a generational gap there in terms of hardware capabilities. So
no, absolutely,
it's going to be a problem for them.
Nintendo has never shied away from the fact that it does not want to compete with the other companies in a straight hardware race.
It doesn't need to, but it needs to be in the same planet.
Absolutely.
Like, if we want to see, okay, I'd like to see, the Dragon Age games come over, then okay, but it has to not be a development intensive process for a third party that's, so on it. Otherwise, it's going to cost too much money to put it on the Switch. It's not so much about it being powerful or not powerful enough or whatever, because especially with the Switch, they're putting a lot of development resources into it because it's got a high install base and people are buying the game. So we see things like Outer Worlds or whatever, making that transition over, even though probably development wise, it cost them a lot of money to pare back that port and to tweak it so much.
Yeah.
So you just need something that makes it not so intense for developers to port things over, and sort of an easy fix for that, in not all ways, but in some ways, is to just have comparable specs to your competitor.
Yeah.
But then that's also the price thing. It's just so many things in the way.
Yeah, it's a conversation for a different day. But back to the topic at hand, are there any games that you want to see that EA has had a hand in?
I like the Dragon Age games all right. I haven't played enough of them, and I need to play more. My husband Cliff is super, super huge into them. He loves them. So, yeah. If some of them came to Switch, having something like that portable is just so much sense, Like, the Switch is a great RPG machine because sometimes you play it on TV, sometimes you play it in bed. It allows you to play it way more often. So I love all of my RPGs on the Switch.
Absolutely.
Only one other property that I can think of that EA has that I would even be interested in playing is Dead Space. I never played the Dead Space games.
Okay. I wonder how they would do that. Like, would they do a remake collection and bring it to the Switch, or...
It would just be a remaster and maybe a collection? That'd be cool. I'd pay $60 for 3 games.
I've heard that the second game is really, really good.
Yeah, I think that the first and the second are really well received. The third one was
really
not.
Kind of fell off.
Yeah, it was way more actiony and also had a bunch of microtransactions in there. Right when
it went the way of Resident Evil 6.
RE6 though didn't have microtransactions, but yeah, in terms of action, yeah.
Just changing the tone, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really care much for EA's business.
No.
So I can't see myself buying a whole lot of stuff from them.
Obviously, Anthem needs to come to the Switch. Just saying.
What an embarrassment. What a giant embarrassment. All right, let's move on to, I'm going to call this double segment, the additional DLC and listener mail.
Yeah, it's a little bit special this episode.
It's special every episode, Galen, do not doubt me. So additional DLC wise, I kind of don't have anything. I wanted to recommend something that's Pride related. It's June. It is LGBTQ plus Pride. So much crazy stuff has been going on in the world and in the States especially that, you know, I haven't even thought about Pride. And, you know, we're still social distancing. Parades and stuff are, sorry if you can hear the police in the background, aptly timed.
I heard you talking about
Thanks.
June, so.
Yeah. Aptly timed. So I wanted to recommend something Pride related. I couldn't like think of anything that like I've seen recently or I've wanted to talk about or whatever. So I got nothing. But I will recommend, how about everybody who is not part of the LGBTQ plus community listen to LGBTQ voices and prop them up, you know, just like especially what we're doing with the Black community right now, where it's like, listen, they need to be heard, and you know, people have just been brushing it off or not paying attention to it. Like, prop up people, listen to other people. It's okay if you don't understand something, but listen to people that do understand it, and maybe you'll learn a little something. So I guess that's my general recommendation, is just be inquisitive.
And also, at this point, there's a lot of things of a political nature in the States that are kind of going on right now. Some major advancements, yet also some major scary things that are kind of going on between rights being given and taketh away, because this country is freaking crazy. I don't want to go too political into that, but I mean, that with it being the month of celebrating LGBTQ, definitely kind of like keep yourself aware of what's going on, because some of the things that are happening right now are going to have some changes going forward.
Yep. Executive orders.
Yep.
So Galen's additional DLC is actually tied into our listener mail. So let's go right into our listener mail. If you have a email for us, and we need them, send us some emails, please. We need emails. It's getting a little light back there. And you know how I like to keep it thick and heavy. I don't know where I'm going with this. Send your thickness to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com. I'm gonna regret that.
Please keep your emails to us safe for work as you send them to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
And you might sound
something like our wonderful friend like Neptunius Beard.
What up, dude?
Hey. So, Neptunius Beard is a frequent commenter on the Nintendo Everything site. He has written into us a couple of times, and he went ahead and sent us this message saying, "Hey, Nintendo Everything Pod crew, Neptunius Beard here. Hey, how's it going? As a Black fan, I am touched by your interest in reaching out to some Black talent. As a suggestion, I would like to suggest a man by the name of Adam Kareem, who has recently kickstarted a Mega Man X inspired game called Protodroid DeLTA. And if possible, it would be cool to give his game a shout out so that I may get a bit more support. Thank you for your time. Have a great day." Thanks, Mr. Beard.
Thank you, Mr. Neptunius. Thank you for always writing in and being such a big supporter of the show. And thank you for bringing this game to our attention. I had no idea about it. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So happy to talk about this.
Yeah, this is something that I really enjoy doing, is being able to prop up and give a shout out to lesser known talent that definitely deserves the attention. So
yes, we have a tiny little platform here, and we have a nice little reach around the world, which is always so special. I'm always like so humbled that, oh God, I hate saying that too, that I'm humbled. That's such a pompous way of describing things. But anyway, I just love that we have a little reach around the world to so many different countries and so many different continents. So love that you guys listen to us. Thank you. And love that we can spread some good joy.
So, getting right down to business, I took a look at this game, and Protodroid DeLTA is inspired by the SNES classic Mega Man X. It is a 3D action platformer set in a solar punk world with a hopeful yet non-utopian vision of the future.
This game looks super cool.
It really does. The goal of the project is to successfully translate the fast and fluid 2D gameplay of the X series into 3D. Yeah, this game looks great.
I like the character designs too. There's lots of people of color characters in there, and I am playing Xenoblade right now, and there's like mechon designs in that. So I'm really into the mech design, like the human mech hybrid looks of things.
Yeah. No, I'm loving the diversity within the character designs that they actually have in here. Absolutely fantastic to see that. Also worth mentioning that all of the characters are also going to be fully voiced.
That's so much work. It was a tiny Kickstarter too. I think it was like, what, 20K?
Mm-hmm. I think so. The Kickstarter, from what I saw, I think it is over. They've met their goal on that.
Yeah.
I think he's also on Indiegogo right now to get a little bit more funding to polish up the game a little bit more.
Yeah, because 20K is nothing. Like that'll pay one game tester like half a year. That's it.
Exactly. And it's worth mentioning that this game, from what I can see, is basically solo made by Adam. So no, that's a lot of work, and I love the trailers and what I have seen in this game. It looks like there's going to be a lot of Mega Man X-esque story that goes with it, where it's there. You can definitely read up and kind of dive into that lore if you want to, but it's there more for window dressing more than anything, which I kind of like that it gives you that option.
Give me window dressing world building. I love it.
You can upgrade your character with not only different modifications like boosters and shields and armor, but also you can change up your weapons with not only weapons that you acquire, but also weapons that you steal from enemies. So it's got that Mega Man X inspiration coming into it as there.
I am so excited for it.
Yeah, it's actually really funny. When I was watching the trailer, I was thinking to myself, wow, this looks absolutely amazing. I would love to see a Mega Man Legends-esque game done with this kind of care and attention.
Galen, let me tell you about a little game called Red Ash.
No. Mega Man Legends 1.5 prototype demo, which was made by Adam Kareem on Game Jolt. So he's freaking made a Mega Man Legends game.
This guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, no, fantastic. I highly recommend checking this out. So
yes, check it out. It's by Adam Kareem, and the game is called Protodroid DeLTA.
Yes.
Neptunius Beard, thank you for writing in and recommending this to us. And anybody else who has any games to recommend, but definitely specifically games or any other kind of media by people of color or LGBTQ folks for this month, send it our way. We're happy to talk about it.
Absolutely.
And that would be nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah. Our email, nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
And our main site, nintendoeverything.com. What's coming out? What's coming up? Interviews, exclusive content, dab. I don't even know. Like
press release.
Constant updates, because this is the month of E3 that doesn't exist. The Phantom E3. You don't know when announcements are going to happen.
Made by Hideo Kojima.
You don't know when announcements are going to happen. I sure as shit don't. So you know what I do? I stay connected 24/7 to nintendoeverything.com. I stay connected on the Twitter @nineverything.
I thought you were going to say the toilet, and I was like, yeah, you do read the news on the toilet.
I do so many things on the toilet. Including checking our YouTube, youtube.com/nineverything. Sometimes I also tweet on the toilet. My handle is @Oni_Dino. And I have the Instagram
of your toilet on Instagram.
I certainly don't. That would be
for your OnlyFans.
Fluid. My Instagram is Oni__Dino. Galen, where do you toilet?
I toilet on Twitter because that is the only place you can really
post
toilet?
Shit.
Wait. Yay! There you go.
See, Galen, it's just once you get to this level of creativity, it just flows out of you like a bird.
You know what? I will never be able to master the shit talk that you can muster. So
I sure do love mustard.
Follow my shit talk on Twitter at Mobius087. And I also have an Instagram. It is true_Mobius. And I recently updated a picture just this morning of what I'm currently using as my phone background.
Updated or uploaded?
Uploaded. I'm an old man, not up to date with the times, so...
Oh my god, let me tell you a story. I'm not up to date on so many current lingo, and I do my best to stay up to date on it because I don't want to get, in the past, which happens very quickly. But I've recently seen like a new insult being thrown around, and I'm just not like super big into like staying up to date on how people choose to insult each other. But I have to say this one, okay?
You're such a natural as it is. I'm surprised by that.
Shut up. I've been seeing people call each other simps.
SIMPS?
Yes. Number one, not a Simpson. Number two, I thought that was like a slur for like somebody who has a mental issue. And apparently it isn't. I don't know what simp really is.
Okay.
I think it might have something to do with a cuck. I don't know. I'm a beta soy joy boy over here, so I really don't know.
Beta soy joy. Is that a what box is that on my Facebook?
I have soy milk in my coffee every morning. And I also have soy milk with my tea. It's the best to combine with tea and coffee. Get that almond milk out of here. Cashew milk, get that shit in my cereal. Nowhere else. Soy milk belongs in coffee.
A simp is a man who puts hoes before bros, as per Urban Dictionary.
So that is just like what people were calling each other recently with cuck.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it comes from the word cuckold. I don't know. All of that is dumb. But hey, there's your little fact. If you learned nothing, you learned something just now. If you ain't know,
go.
Now you know. We'll see you next week. Until then, for everything Nintendo.
Stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
What?
Bark, bark.
So deep, put her butt to sleep. Woke her up around 1. She didn't hesitate to call Ice Cube the Top Gun. Drove it to the pad and I'm coasting. Took another sip of the potion, hit the 3-wheel motion. I was glad everything had worked out. Dropped the burnt off and then choked out. Today was like one of those spy dreams. Didn't even see a berry flashing those high beams. No helicopter looking for the murder. 2 in the morning, got the fat burger. Even saw the lights of the Goodyear blimp, and it read Ice Cube's a pimp. Drunk as hell, but no throwing up. Halfway home, and my page is still blowing up. Today I didn't even have to use my AK. I gotta say it was a good day. Believe today was a good day. 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 A good day, a good day, a good day. A good day, 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 a good day. Hold up, Pooh, stop this, man. I don't know what I'm thinking about.